For
we're
sure.
we're also we're a marketing and event management agency. So really heavy on marketing right now, but if when events get back into motion, are you the contact for renting out space and whatnot? Yes. See, okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Gertie, you sent out all of our contact info and stuff.
Yeah, so the agenda has everyone's email linked under their name, or like hyper name. So
I'll send you an email after this just to get at least get you in my inbox, and we can get some basic information out there.
That sounds great. Awesome.
Yeah, Kristen, I hope it's okay that I put Source Marketing Group next to your name. I noticed your email had it, but you didn't put it in the registration, so I didn't want to like totally assume, but then I saw it in your email and I was like, okay.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, works fine for me.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome.
Oh my gosh, I have that same bike poster in my garage.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. You get it on Broadway at, what shop is it called? It's like, not Dynasty or something like that. There's like
So I actually got it at a boutique in Michigan, of all places.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? Miss you, Gertie.
I know, I miss you too.
How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to see everyone's faces.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're just waiting on Joan and Sydney. So we'll give them a couple more minutes, but in the meantime, I'm gonna just kind of kick off with a little overview about what this is. Thank you guys for taking a chance. If you've never been on a Fireside at 5 chat before, my name's Gertie. I'm one of the founders, and we decided to partner up with Wolfberry Agency, Sky Armstrong, right over there. And so today we're going to be doing kind of this cool hybrid discussion ideation workshop. So kind of a mix between discussion, presentation, and just overall collaboration. That's like what we really strive for on our Fireside Chats. I'm going to be co-facilitating, which means I'll be taking notes, and you can find all the notes from today's meeting at the bottom of this agenda. So feel free to just completely immerse yourself and not have to take notes. So I will do that for you. At the beginning of each of our Fireside Chats, we like to kick it off by doing introductions so everyone can really get to know each other and get an understanding as to why everyone decided to join today. So I'll start just giving a quick brief intro. My name's Gertie, like I said. I used to work in marketing for Sage Hospitality. So I was doing the marketing for the Oxford, Crawford, and Maven hotels. And over at Union Station, that's how I know Sarah on the Fireside also. And so, during the COVID, when it hit in March, we sort of pivoted, and I got with my partner and I was like, what should we do right now? I want to create an environment where people can get together and make really authentic and intentional connections with others in their industry. And also share, like best practices, insights, tips, ideas. We really tried to have these chats strip ego. And so far we've done a pretty good job of that. We've had over 75, I think almost 80 chats now in the last 4 months with people from all over Denver, all over the country. But it's really become this hub for, just people within the industry being able to meet others. And just kind of like Kristen, you and Sarah right off the bat did a really perfect example of what these Fireside Chats are for, of just like, oh, I need a contact over there. I'd love to connect with you offline after this is over. Like, that's totally what this is all about. So I'm really glad you guys are here. I'm gonna let Sky give a little bit of an intro, and then we'll kind of just call you each out by name. Feel free to say your name, your pronouns, I'm she, her, what you do. If you don't have a job right now, you can say searching for new opportunities. And then what you wanna get out of the Fireside Chat today. So Sky, I'll let you take it over.
Hi, I'm Sky. My pronouns are she, her. I am the founder of Wolfberry Agency. This is a COVID business. I've been in the small artists, makers, retail space for about the past 10 years. And I've went to school for fine art, realized that, artists, makers aren't given those business skills to succeed and grow and take that, passion project to the next level. So a few of my colleagues decided that we're going to start this agency and give artists those tools in a super accessible way to learn and grow and be able to be more successful. In addition to that, we're also a sales representation firm once they've grown to a certain stage so that we can rep them to that. but we work with artisans, craftspeople, makers, in addition to anybody that really has a creative entrepreneurial mindset. So we have a dental office as a client, which that's been fun. Just anybody that's looking to, do something, grow, marketing strategy, all the stuff that I think is really fun, but you probably don't want to do a SWOT analysis. So it's been a great time. The kind of piggybacking on a little bit of what Gertie said, this chat is to really get us talking about an open discussion format of different ways to think creatively, brainstorming. How do we look at something and think differently about it, and then apply that to any concepts or ideas that you might have. So super laid back. We have a presentation, but it's just going to be super chill. Everybody's free to chime in, jump in with ideas. And then if I'm just going to go down my little Brady Bunch square here. Kristen, do you want to take it out?
Sure. I'm Kristen McFarland. I'm the owner of the Source Marketing Group, and we are an event management and marketing agency. So right now, really, obviously, leaning on the marketing side of the house to keep, revenue increasing, because events have just been a shit show. And so it's been an interesting year to be, in that business and really pivot heavy towards the marketing side of the house. So we support all women and minority owned businesses. So all of our clients are minority or women owned. So love supporting other boss babes. And really what I wanted to get out of today, on top of just some networking, was outside of my agency, I want to start a nonprofit to support survivors of interfamilial sexual assault. And so maybe just getting some ideas around, how to launch something like that, because it'll be something that can serve nationally, but, how do I start even locally? So yeah, just that was kind of where I was kind of going at today. And my pronouns are she and her.
Amazing. Thanks for joining.
Awesome. And then Sarah, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. So I'm Sarah Hendricks. I am the Director of Community Relations and Marketing for Denver Union Station, and I also, at this moment, help with marketing for the Crawford and Oxford hotels. Thanks, Gertie. My pronouns are she and her. So my background is kind of interesting. I've worked in hotels, I've worked in PR agencies. Marketing and PR is really my background, but the last position I had was with a startup. And I think as females, I was in an all-male startup. I was one of 3 women. And you watch, I'll be frank, you watch men just burn shit to the ground, and you're like, I can do this so much better and so much more organized and with a kinder heart. Like, what is happening? So I've always been that person to have the ideas and be like, I really want to do this. I really want to create this podcast. I really want to start, like you, Kristen, this nonprofit, but I've never gotten the push of how do I execute this? I'm really great and organized when it comes to marketing, and that's what I know, but I think I'm an entrepreneur where you're inside a company and you're an entrepreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur. So I need to figure out that, like, how to move in that direction and give myself the confidence that, like, you're going to have to just do it and see what happens. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. We're just going to keep going. Laura?
Hi. So I'm Laura Kemp. Pronouns are she, her. Basically, my background is in, first I was in international educational travel for about 7-8 years. And then I kind of flipped back to marketing and have been in experiential marketing for the past 2 years. However, recently was furloughed due to lack of events, naturally. So I've had a lot of free time, and with my free time, I've kind of refocused back to my passions, which are really being outside, cycling, hiking, just getting out there. So with that, I've actually launched a website called All the Colorado Things. So it's all based around hiking, cycling, traveling around Colorado, different places, different things to do, and just exploring. So kind of taking all the content and stuff I've been doing and putting it kind of not on the paper, but onto the internet and getting it out there. So I've been really like learning how to market through social media and SEO, and even just building the website and all of that. And the next step is I really want to monetize it and figure out a way to create either a service or a product around it to really have it make me some money. But I know that's kind of down the line. So at the same time, I am also job hunting. So dual purpose for being here.
I'm glad you were able to join. I think this is going to be a really good group of people. This is fun. And then to finish us off, Mila.
Hi. So my name is Mila. Pronouns are also she and hers. And so I met Gertie also working for Sage Hospitality. I was the sales and events coordinator at the Maven Hotel downtown. And then, so I was kind of just like finding my footing in hotels and was really planning to go into events and things like that. And then COVID happened. And so I was furloughed and then laid off this summer as well. And so I'm just kind of in the position where I'm job hunting, but also really trying to figure out which direction I now want to go in terms of my career. I think owning my own business, especially something creative, has always been a dream that I have always wanted to pursue, but it just seems very overwhelming to like start something on your own. And, you know, I'm not really even sure like where to start and things like that. So I definitely wanted to take this opportunity to learn, especially from some amazing women that have started very amazing things. So just kind of, I'm hoping to get some skills and knowledge around where to start, how to get started, things like that. So yeah. Very happy to be here.
I gotta say, this group is amazing. Like, yeah. I am so excited. I feel like all of us are really cut from the same cloth. I feel like we've got good energy, and I'm really looking forward to kind of going into what Sky has prepared for us today. I think it'll be good for all of our creative brains to get them going and, you know, throwing ideas off of each other. I feel like that's what I love to do best. So I'm looking forward to it.
So we're just gonna dive right in. While I try to figure out how to share my screen. We're going to talk about, you know, a lot of different things. We're going to talk about what we can be doing to look at things differently. How do I present this? She's trying.
Also, Sydney, welcome. I think we just missed you for introductions. Do you want to do a quick intro about who you are, what you do, and what you'd like to get out of the call today while Sky gets this presentation set up?
Hi, I'm so sorry about that.
You're all good.
You know how the days go. Yeah, so I am a solo entrepreneur here in Denver, Colorado, with a company called You're Golden. It's a photographer on demand service. And really the goal here is, while we do offer photographer on demand services, the goal here is to really get people to put their phone down, be more present. So by us allowing you to really enjoy those milestone moments in your life, you can watch your kid's birthday party, you can like go on an outdoor adventure, you can have all the fun, you can make eye contact, you can share experiences without missing the photo. So it's a lifestyle. We're really trying to sell, like, you know, experience your life and we'll take the photos for you. And so I'm really just, as an entrepreneur, wanting to talk to as many other entrepreneurs as possible in as many different ways as possible to learn as much as I can as I go about starting my business.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks for joining and welcome.
Thank you.
Sky, who is presenting now, she's going to start kind of going through the presentation, but this is really collaborative and communicative, so feel free to jump in if anyone has anything to say. Sky, I'll let you take it.
I am unable to share my screen. My computer's freezing every time I try. So we might just end up.
Do you want me to try and pull it up?
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah. Let me take a.
I just have to take a second to tell you how badass those earrings are.
Thank you. Have managed to freeze my entire computer now. So Cindy, since you're joining us and I have time to fill, the goal of this, I know everybody that's here is, we're really trying to grow something. You know, this is a time where there's a lot of uncertainty of what we're doing and how we can take a step back and look at things differently, look at different creative ideas and how we can do things in a new way, and just how we apply those different types of concepts to each other. Gertie, you're amazing.
Are we good?
So, yep.
Cool.
So I'm just gonna Vanna White it.
Okay, perfect.
So the first slide is, you know, kind of what I was just saying. This is, if you want to go click through, Gertie. So this is not necessarily reinventing the wheel. I think is one of the biggest challenges when you're looking to do your own concept, when you're looking to do your own thing. How do you grow something? You have this idea, and this is a really, I found an example of a way to look at something and see it differently. So this photo, these are Legos. This is a Lego set. So, you know, just getting inspired by something ordinary, getting inspired by everyday things, and using that and bringing those kind of questions and concepts back into what you would normally do. So first case study example is this really incredible brand called Not Pot, and they're CBD gummies. So this is an open dialogue discussion. At any point, please jump in. These are questions actually meant to be answered by us. This isn't supposed to be me just talking at you, so I want to jump in. So this is a CBD company that has managed to take branding and their messaging and really put themselves in a market that's so saturated. The cannabis CBD market industry is so competitive, and they're finding ways to stand out. So something that I wanted to bring up is, how important is branding when you're looking at a concept? Is that something that you can use as a starting off point? Is there something, if you have your own company, if you have your own business, it can be whatever you want to make it. So instead of, you know, if you're in the wedding industry and you're thinking like blushes and whites and golds, and it doesn't have to be. Your personality should really be in what you're doing. So looking at Not Pot, they have a really great mission statement, which is also something that I know, Kristen, you mentioned that you only work with female or minority owned businesses. So looking at how can your mission statement stand apart from everybody else in the market that you're in. Not Pot has a mission where a portion of their proceeds go to fighting for people that are incarcerated for possession and helping them get out. So in addition to legalization and decriminalization, they have a very true mission statement. How is that something that you can do for your own concept, for your own brand, and how that differentiate you from the competitors?
I can always jump in too if you need it. I can
Yeah.
use Fireside as an example. So in our case, we are different than someone like LinkedIn. because we think intimate, small chats are where you see the most engagement and the most collaboration and connection between the people on the calls. So for us, when we were looking at what our mission statement was, we wanted to blend the lines between professional and personal relationships. How do you do that? Well, you could do it over a happy hour setting. Virtual makes it a lot more accessible for people, which is another important thing that we wanted to do, was give access to anybody, regardless of their skin color, regardless of their gender, regardless of their sexual orientation. There are a lot of people out there that just don't have the same access to the top connections in these big cities that we are all fortunate to have. And so being able to be a virtual platform that's open and accessible to anybody allows for that to naturally happen. So that's just our example, but I'd love to hear from you guys too.
I have an example, at least what I'm thinking for this future nonprofit. It's, I think one of the ways I can stand out is even how I structure my board. There's not a lot of nonprofits that have a lot of women or people of color on their boards. And so I think going with the theme of radical inclusivity will kind of make us stand out, because most of the time it's old white men on the boards making decisions. And I think that's one way to really stand out, especially considering that most of the people that we support will be women and people of color.
I love that. I think that's something that you can market yourself as, hey, we practice what we preach. There's that through line. It becomes your brand voice. It becomes who you are as a nonprofit, as a business. I think is really important. We can progress. So this is something that there's a couple of these questions scattered throughout this presentation that I know everybody's thinking how they can apply these things to what you're doing. And this is something that I really love to do as an exercise when I'm trying to just jumpstart brainstorming ideas. Is, do you start with the concept or do you start with branding? Do you have to, is one more important than the other? I don't think so. And I think that if you are searching for an idea, Mila, what you want to be doing, can it be, hey, I really love the color hot pink. Let me brainstorm a brand, and then eventually that product might come from it. I have a concept. I just did this exercise recently for a cotton candy brand. I just wanted to do branding for a cotton candy concept, and now I really want to start a cotton candy company. So I just think that this is something really fun that we can talk about. How do you navigate this when you have so much to do? It's really overwhelming. You have this idea. I know, Sarah, you have said a podcast. How important is branding to that podcast? How important is that overall feeling, that style, as you're doing these things? So I think that this is a really interesting question in where do you start?
Oh my gosh, is that an actual question? So I think I'm concept first, and I kind of led Gertie into where my head is at. I've always wanted to start a podcast, and in COVID times and seeing what everyone is going through, and having known in the history of my life, I have at multiple occasions hit rock bottom. I think it's really interesting, instead of talking about, how you got there, what happened afterwards, right? There's so many people that go through divorces, abuse, just so many different topics that we could talk about, but no one ever really focuses on the trajectory afterwards and how you dug yourself out of that hole. If you didn't, what happened? And I think that mindset and that outlook is really interesting, because people are so focused on failure as a bad thing, that I would really want this podcast to be yeah, you fucked up, you failed, but here's why it's the best thing that's ever happened to you. And And so when we're talking about the concept, what I mentioned to Gertie is my social media is tied to Union Station. So I went to rock bottom. I deleted all of my social media, got this job, and said, okay, I will be forever indebted to Union Station by creating this Instagram account. And now that I have this new idea, I don't know how to separate the two. And that's where I feel like, okay, I've got this concept that's like out here, and all the branding stuff for me is, I just am like, I don't know. So I feel, Mila, your pain of like trying to figure out, you have all these little ideas in your head of like, this sounds really good, you know, oh, I'll focus on females, but maybe like, but I really want the LGBTQ plus community to be in there. And I really want to talk to women of color. And I really like, there's just, you get your head, it feels like my head is in a blender.
And that's understandable. There's a lot that goes into that initial, where do I start? And I think that branding is it's so important, but it's also really fun. And taking those steps of like, these are all the things that I want to hit. This is everything that I want to say with my branding. How do I do that? What colors represent rock bottom? What feeling does that evoke? What color do I associate with that feeling? I think there's a lot that you can kind of walk back from that. Mm-hmm. And this is something that, you know, if you're trying to just jumpstart this thought process, it can also be, you know, hey, I'm not going to touch my concept. I'm not going to do branding for my podcast. I'm not going to do branding for my outdoor website. I'm going to come up with a branding for this jigsaw puzzle company. Just to start that line of thinking.
Okay. Interesting.
It's an exercise. Not everything has to be perfect in the same time. It's really just to start how that creative mindset starts to flow. Because once you are feeling good about, you know, this jigsaw puzzle company is going to be so cool, this branding is going to be great. Oh, you know, I really love that. Or, hey, I don't want that anything near what I'm doing.
Yeah, so I that's with what I think, is it Kristen? No, Sarah. No, sorry. Yeah. Sorry about that. With what you were saying, yeah, I think like that's pretty much where I've gotten stuck as well. Is I have this concept that I've had since like college that I've really felt really passionately about. And the stronger that I feel about it, the more intimidated I feel about, you know, making it look like, picking the perfect look and feel for it. And one of the things that I was reading about, somebody advised, like, especially if you're creating a business that's personal to you, the branding should have aspects of your personality in it, and it should look kind of like you, like it should look like you as a person, which I mean, that feels a little bit overwhelming, like to represent myself as a brand, and just getting started on the aesthetics of it all and everything like that, I think can be kind of intimidating. So like if anyone has a set of specific questions maybe that you kind of sit down and ask yourself when you're creating a look and feel for something, or you're starting to create a brand for something, that would be good. And that would be good to ask yourself and start thinking about. I think that would be really helpful.
I'll circle back after the chat with that.
I also have a couple things that I could share with you. I'm part of a Lions Pride cohort. It's a CEO accelerator. And one of the things they really preach is, you know, staying in your zone of genius. So, right, if you're uncomfortable with branding, hire that out. And because you can iterate, right? Or you can make a first shitty draft and then hand it over to an agency later. But just getting started, start and iterate, right? At first, when I started my company, it took me a month just to even think of a name. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, I have clients waiting on me and I can't even think of a name. And then when I got over that anxiety, I realized, hey, this is an iterative process. Like you know, your business, you can iterate and evolve. So I wouldn't be so afraid of going to market. You know, just stay in your zone of genius, what you're really good at, and then find support and help in the other areas. The other thing I'd say to Sarah is be the mayor of your market. Don't try to go to after too many verticals all at once. You know, if you want to work with females or whatever that is for your podcast, really own that market before you move on and spread yourself too thin, because you can't be everything to everybody.
I think those are really great points, and that actually leads in really well to the next slide. Good job, Kristen. So this was a really good example of branding that I loved. And this is Magic Spoon. This is an adult cereal. They market themselves as, you know, we grew up, but our cereal didn't. That's their tagline. They are adults that really want to eat cereal that is marketed and good for adults, not super sugary, has high protein. So this is a really good example where I think they figured out who their target audience was and they went after it. I get ads for them all the time on Instagram, but they target very specific millennials that, you know, want some Fruit Loops, but, you know, we're in quarantine, probably shouldn't be eating that much sugar. So I think that this is a really good example of, like you were saying, Kristen, the mayor of your market. Love that. I'm stealing that. So how important is your target audience? I personally think it's the most important thing after you have your brand voice and you have your concept, what you're doing. I mean, Laura, you know your automatic brand target audience are people in Colorado, people visiting Colorado, people wanting to be here. I think after you have that determines your marketing strategy. That determines probably your aesthetic. That's going to determine a lot of different things. It can also then, you can use that. How do you target people not necessarily in that one key demographic? How would you target, you know, you have this Everything Colorado website. How do you expand that? How do you know, hey, Joe and Bob are visiting from Texas. How do I make sure that they find my website and know what to do?
Yeah, I know for me, a lot of it is keyword research, and tapping into not just like things that I want to write about, but like things that people want to read and want to hear about. And a lot of that does come from people visiting Colorado, and it might be like, you know, easy hikes that aren't going to kill you at elevation and things like that, and really doing a lot of online research to figure out like some of the other demographics outside of just Colorado cyclists or 14er hikers, that kind of thing. So really tailoring it to a larger population as well, and still like sprinkling in some of the, you know, this fun stuff I want to write about that makes my website unique and to me as well.
No, I think that's everything. Where you have a very specific product. I think this is probably one of the most narrow out of everybody here. This is the most focused, but I still think that there's creative ways that you can market this to people that aren't in Colorado, or, you know, cycling, this was your experience at this mountain. I'm not a cyclist, I don't know, but this was my experience, you know, biking down this trail, and this is what I had. And then maybe that connects with somebody who does crazy bike trips on Big Sur. Maybe there's other ways. And how do you take this very specific product, make it thrive in your own demographic, but make it interesting to other people too?
I'd argue also on that too, like COVID is such a unique time for tourism, especially like from my own experiences working in tourism. I feel like catering specifically to the time. So like a ton of people are car camping right now. A ton of people are doing bike packing trips. A lot of people are doing road trips like from Utah or like California. So like being able to target those audiences as well is so crucial, and also like such a great way to invite new people outside of our state to really enjoy what it has to offer.
Laura, are you tracking people that go to your website? Like, do you have a tracking pixel set up?
Yeah, I use Google Analytics, and I'm trying to dive into Pinterest, which also really analyzes everything that people are clicking on and what they like and who's following and all of that. So the Pinterest analytics have actually been pretty insightful as well, on top of course, like Google Analytics as well.
Yeah, and if you have a Facebook page, one of the cool things I do a lot, because it's super targeted, is the lookalike audience feature. So you take everybody that's visited your website, you create a lookalike audience for everybody outside of Colorado, and then you're more targeted in your campaign. So it's going to be people out of state with similar demographics. So they're going to align with your target audience, and that could be a good way to target too.
Cool. Thanks.
I know a couple of people, Kristen, have that feature, depending on which Google Analytics, and then depending, of course, like which web platform you're using.
Yep.
That's pretty standard, just across the board. There's a lot of different options that you can explore here. So this one felt very COVID heavy, so but it was related. So this is going back to that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's really good iterations. How do you improve upon something that's already existing? These are two different masks. The top one is from Donut Robotics, which, no, that one's from UM Systems, and it's a UV mask. So there's a UV ray in there that's supposed to kill everything. And then the one on the bottom is from Donut Robotics, and that's a translation mask. It hooks up to an app where if you speak into it, it can translate it. It'll connect to your phone in whatever language you're speaking in, and then translate it to another language as you need it. That's cool. So it's one of those things where everybody has a mask. We're going to have masks forever. The Donut Robotics is a Japan-based company. It's a little bit more cultural. That's something that has actually been on the market for a while. So looking at, as you're trying to come up with this new idea, as you're coming up with launching your business, Kristen, as you're looking to grow your business, Sydney, as you're looking to expand your audience, how can you just Sydney's, I think, is a really good example of your she has a photography-based business, but it's not your standard, like, hire, click, shoot. It's very different. So how can we just keep redesigning, refocusing to make the next step be better?
Were you directing that to me specifically? Oh, shoot, I can't hear you.
Oh, no. Not necessarily, but if you have anything to add.
Yeah, so it's interesting kind of just listening to everyone too, because my product is unlike anything else out there. So I'm actually having it's been nice to just hear what everyone's saying, because I'm having a tough time. Everyone takes photos with their cell phones, and we're trying to replace people's cell phones. And so my audience is everyone. Everyone uses a cell phone to take photos. So we are really unique in terms of this mask comparison per se. We're really niche and very unique, but we're also everyone uses cell phones to take photos, and we want to replace your cell phone. So I'm in an interesting place right now trying to figure out how to find that target market, how to explain what we do to that target market. Not necessarily how we're different, because we're almost different in every way, but just more explaining to everyone, put your phone down, let us take the photos for you. Don't miss out on life, be present. We're not doing babies, we're not doing weddings, we're not doing families. Those photographers have that market covered. That's not what we're doing. So I have a lot of challenges with my business right now. I'm very passionate about it, the why, and the mission statement, everything that you guys were talking about earlier. The why is to be more present in our lives and to make more social connections, especially coming through COVID. We're all craving social connections. So I think if anything, we're going to have like a kind of use this to our advantage in a way, but yeah, so I have a few hurdles to overcome. And sorry, I had my video off because I was eating.
We're all busy, I get it. No, I think that you bring up an interesting point is after you have this concept, and this is a little bit almost on the other side of what everybody else has been saying, you have this concept and you have this very strong mission statement and you know where you want to be. But how do you connect to those people that need it? You've iterated on a service, you've redesigned, conceptualized what that service looks like. You're not having a bridal shower and everybody expects a photographer to be there. So how do you take that to the next step? Where do you start walking those steps back from, and how you're trying to connect with people, I think is a really important exercise as you're trying to develop where you'll end up going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is a lot and it's challenging, but hopefully COVID helps that kind of progress and determine a really clear path for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something this is part one, since, I mean, I'm just going to bring it up now. So this is part one of this chat series. This might be a really good option for you, where we have an execution chat coming up next week, where it's a little bit more of like, here's my idea, and then we help brainstorm what those actual action steps are. So if that's something that you feel would be really good interest, worth considering signing up for. So next slide is almost that same topic. How do you iterate on an existing design, existing topic? This is called Dent Freak. This one I thought was a good example of just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is an automatic toothbrush. So you're just supposed to put those in your choppers and it brushes for you. So I thought this was just kind of a silly example of, you're brainstorming. What are something that you could use? Why should you do this? As you're asking yourself, is this something you should be doing? Is this actually a good idea? Is a market for this? I wasn't able to find the Kickstarter for this project because I don't think it was funded. So this is just something, as we're thinking about how you go to that next step, just always remember to take a step back. I think everybody here has like a good idea, with the exception of Mila, because you don't have one yet. Maybe don't do this, but I think that this is just a good example of somebody bought this, regardless of how out there I think this idea could be. And if you agree with me or disagree, somebody thought this was a great idea and purchased one. So this is an exercise that I thought could be fun for everybody to start thinking a little bit differently. This is something that I really enjoy doing, is jumpstarting that creative thought process. Doesn't necessarily have to be specific towards what your end goal is. So this one is taking a tea kettle and just designing it to make it completely useless. This is something supposed to be really fun and silly. But how would you take a tea kettle and just make it completely non-functional? Laura, do you have any ideas? Kristen? Sydney? Anyone?
Peel off all the holes.
Yeah, I feel like if you you built it with water in it and then just completely covered it all. So the water could boil, but you could never get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like put the spout where you're supposed to boil it.
Or you make it super linear, so there's no way that you could successfully fill it up.
Yeah.
What if it's really tiny and it can't hold anything at all? It's this big?
No, just thinking about things differently. How, taking a step back and getting silly, hey, this isn't the end goal. Nobody here is going to design a tea kettle that you can't put water in, but it's supposed to change your perception of how you're looking at everything. I have to say, Gertie, you're doing an incredible job.
Me?
Yes, you.
So all the notes I'm taking are actually in my notebook, so I'll transfer those over to the doc after this because I'm sharing my screen.
Awesome, thank you.
You ready for the next slide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
So this one I thought could be really fun to just kind of talk to everybody about where you're finding inspiration, especially because most of us are stuck at home right now. This is a design product that wasn't born from a COVID idea, but it felt like it could have been. This is a walking pad. It's a foldable treadmill that you can put in your closet, store it, and then unfold it, stand at your desk, walk. But the concept for this came from people that worked at home that didn't like how noisy and large their treadmill was in their home office because it was their office/workout room. So I was just curious, you know, where is everybody finding that inspiration, either related to your business or just generalized right now? Sarah, have you seen anything that's been super inspiring? Have you read any blogs, Instagram?
Yeah, it's actually interesting that you say that. So I have a friend who I worked with at my last, at the startup company I worked for, who was the chief creative officer. And in the moments where I find that crazy inspiration, which it could be from like looking at something on Instagram, I will immediately text him and be like, oh my God, I have this idea, wait for it. So but I find it to be really funny because I think a lot of it now in being at home all the time comes from like reading the news or looking at Instagram or, you know, something that's a little bit less than where you're used to the go out and prosper and find cool ideas everywhere. It's a little bit more confined now.
No, I think everybody's on their phone right now. Everybody's, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. You're seeing what everybody else is doing, and then you're always going to have that little voice in the back of your head that's telling you that, well, why should you do it if everybody else always is? That little voice is mean. I always put it in a little box, put it in a corner. So finding, you know, internet inspiration, but also trying to get outside as much as possible. Gertie, if you want to go to the next slide.
I was going to add really quickly too on this one. I just downloaded TikTok and I feel really old that I just got on it. My sisters, I have younger sisters and one of them is 17. And so she's the one that was like, you should just try it. It's a great spot to find some inspiration. There's also a lot of like fempreneurs. I don't know how to say that, like female entrepreneurs. But basically I followed a lot of accounts that are like marketing or events or social media. And you can find a lot of really cool inspiration on TikTok and it really starts to curate the more you use it. So I know that's part of their algorithm and why they're probably about to get banned, but it's a cool spot for ideation for sure.
Awesome. Actually, click to the next one. So this is an exercise that I think is really helpful in idea generation for everybody as you're kind of going through, you know, your day-to-day processes. Sydney, as you're working through your business, Mila, as you're looking for a new concept, is starting I wish I had journal. You know, as you're walking around, you know, shoot, I wish I had a hook where I could put my keys and my mask and my dog leash and everything right when I walked in, but it was all in the same place. Oh, I wish I had this. It's starting that, you know, this necessity need where you're looking for, what is this that I could potentially do? Oh, I wish I had a photographer that would come to this bat mitzvah that I'm hosting virtually, but I want to be able to send everybody really nice photos to. Oh, I wish I had a resource for all of the best biking trails in Colorado. These things that you can apply to your day-to-day life typically tend up being really great jumping off points. And Gertie, if you want to go back a slide. this was one of my, oh, I wish I had things, and I looked it up and it was a real product. So this is a tool that helps you draw a straight line. So this is from Jiao Wu. It's really great. It measures out distances as you draw a straight line, but this came from my, oh, I wish I had journal. So as you're brainstorming, as you're doing those exercises, oh, I wish I had a podcast where I could listen to somebody talk about how they were laid off and managed to build a super successful business. You can apply all these things, but as you're thinking through those concepts, oh, I wish I had this, they tend to snowball and lend to that generation of, oh, these are all things that I can do.
Also, heads up that we have 10 minutes remaining. So
Awesome.
throw that out there.
If you want to go forward, one more. Cool. So this is a really important slide that I wanted to close out with, because I feel like we're all here to talk, to connect. So why collaboration is important. This is an app called Hotels by Day, started before COVID, but is super important now, where you can rent hotel space for the day. If you need to work in a conference room, if you want to just chill at somebody's pool, if you want to explore a new city, but you have some place to go or to stay for the night, but you still need a place to look like. So this was a team design that were on a vacation that came up with this concept. And they had a really great concept, but they needed an app developer. Obviously, that's not something most people can do. So how do you pair those things? How do you know when to look for collaboration? Where should you look for collaboration? I think, Kristen, you mentioned before to Mila, outsource your branding. That's a collaboration in itself. And I think there's a lot of really good collaboration opportunities for everybody here with what they're trying to do. That becomes, either whether it's advertisement or a partnership in terms of a guest speaker on a podcast. I mean, Kristen, if you're looking to get somebody on your board and that collaboration becomes an event, what does that look like? And what does it look like to have those expectations to be executed properly to your end goal? Something with that collaboration is it looks very different in a lot of ways. We're generating ideas. This is supposed to help create new thought processes. Where does that look like in terms of bouncing those ideas off of somebody, not just, hey, I have this thing, it's ready to go. So as you're thinking about where you want to be, where you want to go, this is something that just kind of closing out, hey, I just need somebody to talk to about what I'm thinking and how to take it to the next level, which feeds into a little bit more of what our execution series is. Gertie, if you want to click through. I didn't put it on the slide because I forgot. So next week we have our execution series. It's me and a bunch of Wolfberry's preferred partners who are either industry entrepreneurs, marketing specialists, web dev, engineers. I've got some really cool people that I know apparently, but we want to hear everybody's ideas. We want to help you create those action steps to really get to the next level. So as you're taking these really, design challenges, hey, I'm gonna sit and think how I can create like the world's most inefficient pencil. I'm going to look and see, I'm gonna create, a hot pink branding concept and then come up with what that product is. If you wanna take those ideas, check in. I'm always happy, I'm here for it. Send me those ideas, that's super fun for me. But as you're thinking about how they apply to all of your businesses and concepts, and Mila, as you're in the ideation, what do you really want to do stage, feel free to check in with me or Gertie. Fireside Chats are something that was a really big part in how Wolfberry was started. So we just wanted to offer that to everyone. And I really hope that this was helpful and you're able to take something away and how you're going to be progressing in the future.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, likewise. This was amazing. And also I feel really honored to be on a call with all women that want to start their own businesses in some way. I think that in itself is really, really empowering and special. And to be able to sit on a call for an hour and have such a great collaborative discussion where we're bouncing ideas off each other and asking to elaborate on things that we haven't thought of before. Like, I think that's really cool. It's pushed me outside of my comfort zone. Again, Fireside was only started like 4 months ago. So I'm very much in that same ideation execution phase as all of you guys are. And, you know, when I looked at that branding versus concept question, just a little background on us, we didn't have branding until about 2 weeks ago. We had Sky do like an original, you know, mock-up for branding for us, but we had an idea and we were like, let's just put it online. Let's just do it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, you know, things work and then you figure it out as you go. So thank you guys for allowing us to all be in this space together, and Sky for this great presentation. And I will be on the execution chat hopefully next week. If I'm not there, Gabby, our Director of Outreach and Sponsorship, will be on it in my place, but I hope to see all of you guys as well. And I'll put the link at the bottom. I think it's in the agenda already for the registration, so it's an easy one click. But yeah, Sky, any last comments there?
I'm going to follow up with everybody just because I love all of your ideas. And I know, Mila, you asked for some of those branding questions. I'll make sure to send them over. But I'm available even if it's more of, if you want more of these weird exercises, I have like a full thing, you know, just for, I think they're fun, but that could just be me. So no, I'm happy to, you know, talk through ideas. We can talk through what Wolfberry is a little bit more and how we could partner, collaborate, work together. I really appreciate everybody being here. I think you all have really great ideas or are in a really great direction to pursue those. And I'm really excited to see, you know, a strong group of women just continue to kick ass.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Guys. And I'll put also at the bottom. So check the agenda for some of the notes as well. Laura, send me your site. I am a big cycler, so I would love to see some of your routes and what you've been putting together.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, hope to see you next week. Bye.